Alright guys, in this video I wanted to talk about my two favorite bench press variations for long arm bench pressers. And I think this is an interesting thing to talk about because long arm bench pressers typically tend to have the most fatigue and also tend to be just the worst leverage lifters as far as getting stronger. This basically just results in more fatigue, and it's just harder for technique to be consistent. And so there are basically with fatigue, I find there's a lot of issues with basically this area, front delt and the pec attachment. This area tends to get a really big beating with bench pressers with just regular competition grip, as well as typically there's going to be some issues with consistency with touch point. And in particular, this comes back to basically how your scapula moves and having scapular control. So my two favorite bench press variations, and these are usually one of these two is usually a staple in programming for my longer arm lifters. That's going to be, first is close grip bench press, and the second one is a Larson bench press. I'm going to explain why I like these two. So number one, I like close grip bench pressing because it really allows to take off a lot of that stress from the pec. Because instead of having a wider grip and you have to have your elbows a little bit more flared, you can have your elbows a little bit more tucked, and you can also, and that basically reduces down the overall stress right around here on your shoulders and on your pecs. I also find that it also tends to be a little bit load limiting, and this can be helpful for just joints and connective tissues, because the most taxing thing to joints and connective tissues is absolute loading. And if you can get in a really quality, high relative intensity stimulus while limiting the absolute intensity on the bar, that's usually a good thing for people that have worse leverages. I also think that this also tends to help out a ton with scapular control, because on a close grip bench press, you just have to basically go into the external rotation more and then internal rotation as you're benching, and basically having a different movement strategy can be easier to apply that to your actual competition bench pressing. There is some research on that. Having more variation improves motor learning. So that's one of the main reasons why I like it. Also, typically, as far as what limits long arm bench press as far as muscular strengths, is usually going to be the triceps, and close grip bench pressing stresses the triceps in a way that is the most specific to a bench press. Now, second off, why do I like Larson press? So it's mostly for having consistency with touch point, and then also having that really good scapular control. For whatever reason, I've just found with most of my clients and myself, a lot of issues people might have with how they are moving their arms down to their chest, or pushing their chest up to the bar, or they're touching on their chest, just all kind of quote unquote automatically gets resolved with Larson pressing. And it is also load limiting, so that's also something that's positive as far as managing overall fatigue. But because you have to be more reliant on having a proper position, or else you're going to be punished, and you can't rely on your legs as much, generally lifters have a better touch point and more consistent technique. And so usually these are two variations I'll have. Now, how do I program this? And there are usually going to be two ways I'll do this. Number one is going to be, and this is probably the most common, I'll program in either a close grip bench press or a Larson press on a non-priority bench day. So basically a secondary day or a tertiary day, something like that. In a way that is going to help get them a solid stimulus, but also give them lots of good technique practice going into their primary bench day. Another way that I'll do it is if someone just really has a hard time in general with their arms being really long, is tolerating a lot of basically comp grip bench pressing, is having it be like close grip back down work on a primary day, and using maybe just only maybe 2 or 3 sets of comp benching as a top set during the week, and then letting accessories or these variations just be like the back down work in the majority of the training stimulus, because what matters the most is finding a training stimulus and structure that allows you to train consistently and not get hurt. And basically the whole thing is like, I think a good way to frame competition specificity is you want to train with as much competition specificity as you possibly can. That's where it's beneficial for you, but there is diminishing returns for that. And if you are getting lots of joint aches and pains because of that competition specificity, you're getting more beat up because you're really strong in it, that's when variation tends to help out quite a bit. And then usually, like whether rep ranges and whatnot, I'll use this usually for close grip bench with longer range of motion people. I don't like going above 5 reps because it's more work with that longer range of motion, and that's if it could start to be a little bit disproportionately fatiguing. Larson press, though, I'm honestly fine with really any rep range. Usually, I'm not going above 8 reps for my lifters, but up to that can be a really great way to train. So if you have long arms and you're noticing that you have issues with your technique being consistent, you're getting lots of pain in your pecs and it's just really hard, I would consider adding in these two variations. I found that for myself, I make better progress when I have a close grip bench press or large press in my program for all the reasons I've just listed. A lot of my longer arm bench pressers tend to make a lot better progress. Very rarely do I find that someone with a very long range of motion can do frequent competition grip only bench pressing if they're benching especially above 160 kilos, so above 50 pounds, but even applies on 300 pound benchers. Everyone's different. So hopefully this video made sense. If you guys have any questions, ask me down in the comments below. Let me know what your favorite bench press variation is. If you guys want coaching, wanting to get jacked and strong, my coaching program is designed to get you to your genetic potential with your strength and your physique. So if you guys want to get my help with that, links are down below to apply for coaching, or you can reach out to me on Instagram. Talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.